The mansion was silent that night, the kind of silence that makes every small sound feel louder than it should be. The expensive marble floors reflected the dim golden lights, and outside the tall glass windows the city shimmered with luxury and wealth. But in the back corner of the kitchen, hidden behind the large refrigerator where no one usually looked, a quiet figure crouched on the cold floor. The young maid was eating scraps of leftover food with trembling hands. Not from a plate, not from a table, but from a plastic bag she had quietly collected from the trash. And she was trying very hard not to cry. That was the moment the millionaire walked in. And what he saw in that single second would change both of their lives forever. Before we begin this emotional journey, take a moment to support the channel. If you believe that kindness can change lives, that second chances matter, and that even the smallest act of compassion can transform someone's world, please like this video, share it with someone who believes in humanity, comment your thoughts, and subscribe for more powerful stories like this. Ethan Carter was one of the most successful businessmen in the city. At just 42, he owned several technology companies, luxury hotels, and real estate across the country. His mansion sat on a hill overlooking the city lights, a symbol of everything he had achieved. But success had come with a price. Years earlier, Ethan had lost his wife in a sudden illness. The loss had shattered something deep inside him. Since then, his world had become colder and quieter. He buried himself in work, spending most nights in his office or traveling between meetings. The mansion that once echoed with laughter now felt like an empty museum of memories. Because of this, Ethan rarely paid attention to the household staff. The house manager handled everything. Maids came and went. Chefs cooked meals he often didn't eat. Gardeners maintained lawns he barely walked on. Life simply moved around him. Until the night everything changed. It was nearly midnight when Ethan returned home unexpectedly early from a business trip. His driver had dropped him at the gate, and the staff assumed he would go straight to his room. But Ethan felt restless. Instead of going upstairs, he wandered into the kitchen looking for a glass of water. That was when he heard the faint rustling sound. At first he thought it might be a mouse. But then he saw movement behind the refrigerator. Ethan walked slowly closer. And what he saw stopped him cold. The young maid was crouched on the floor, hurriedly stuffing a small piece of bread into her mouth as if she were afraid someone would take it away. Her eyes widened with terror the moment she realized she had been seen. The plastic bag in her hand contained half-eaten food scraps from the dinner plates that had been cleared earlier that night. For a moment, neither of them moved. The girl's face turned pale with panic. She looked like she was preparing for punishment. And Ethan suddenly felt something twist painfully in his chest. He had seen many things in his life. He had negotiated billion-dollar deals and faced ruthless competitors. But nothing had prepared him for the quiet desperation in the eyes of someone eating leftovers like they were a forbidden treasure. The girl quickly stood up, trembling. Her name was Sophia. She had only started working at the mansion 2 weeks earlier. The house manager had hired her without much explanation. She was quiet, hardworking, and kept her head down. No one really noticed her. Except now. Sophia expected to be fired immediately. She thought about her little brother waiting at home in their tiny apartment. She thought about the rent they could barely afford. She thought about the nights they had both gone to sleep hungry. The job at the mansion had been their only hope. And now she had been caught stealing food. But Ethan didn't shout. He didn't call the manager. Instead, he looked at the plastic bag in her shaking hands. And then he asked a question that surprised even himself. "Why are you eating from the trash?" Sophia couldn't answer at first. Her throat tightened with embarrassment. Tears filled her eyes as she tried to explain, but the words came out broken and quiet. She said she didn't want to waste the food. But Ethan knew that wasn't the truth. There was something deeper behind those frightened eyes. Later that night, Ethan couldn't sleep. The image of the young maid crouched on the kitchen floor kept replaying in his mind. He thought about the massive dining table where food worth hundreds of dollars was served every night. Plates often returned half-finished. Perfectly good meals were thrown away without a second thought. And yet someone in his own house was secretly eating scraps from the trash. The thought made him feel uneasy. The next morning, Ethan did something unusual. Instead of leaving early for the office, he stayed home. He watched quietly as the household staff began their daily routines. Sophia moved through the rooms with quiet efficiency, cleaning surfaces and carrying laundry baskets. She looked smaller in daylight, almost invisible. At breakfast, Ethan asked the house manager a simple question. "Do the staff eat meals here?" The manager looked surprised. He explained that meals were provided for the permanent staff, but temporary workers like Sophia were responsible for their own food. Ethan frowned. He had never realized that. Later that afternoon, Ethan called Sophia into his office. The room was enormous, with floor-to-ceiling windows and shelves filled with awards and business trophies. Sophia stood near the door, nervous and unsure why she had been called. Ethan studied her carefully. She looked exhausted. Her uniform sleeves were slightly too large, and her shoes looked worn from years of use. He asked her about her family. At first she hesitated, but eventually the truth came out. Sophia was 22 years old. Her parents had died in a car accident 3 years earlier. Since then, she had been raising her 8-year-old brother alone. She worked multiple jobs just to keep them afloat. The maid job at the mansion was supposed to help them survive. But after paying rent and school expenses for her brother, there was barely enough money left for food. Some nights she ate, some nights she didn't, and the night Ethan found her, she had simply been too hungry. Ethan felt the weight of her story settle heavily in the room. For the first time in years, he felt something other than business pressure or loneliness. He felt responsibility. Over the next few days, Ethan quietly began making changes. First, he instructed the kitchen staff to prepare meals for every employee, regardless of their position. No one working in the house would ever have to worry about food again. But that was only the beginning. Ethan couldn't stop thinking about Sophia's little brother. One evening, he asked Sophia if he could meet him. She was hesitant at first, unsure why a millionaire would care about a child from a poor neighborhood. But eventually she agreed. The apartment where Sophia lived was tiny and worn down. The building walls were cracked, and the hallway lights flickered. It was a world completely different from Ethan's mansion. Inside the apartment, Sophia's brother Daniel greeted them with a shy smile. Despite their struggles, the small room was clean and filled with drawings Daniel had made at school. There were pictures of houses, trees, and bright sunny skies. Ethan noticed something that made his heart ache. Most of the drawings included a tall man standing beside Sophia and Daniel. A father figure. Someone Daniel clearly wished he had. Over the following months, Ethan became a quiet part of their lives. He arranged for Daniel to attend a better school. He helped Sophia enroll in evening classes so she could pursue a nursing career, something she had dreamed about but never believed possible. But the most important change wasn't money or opportunity. It was something far simpler. For the first time since their parents died, Sophia and Daniel felt like someone cared about them. And for the first time since losing his wife, Ethan felt warmth returning to his empty life. The mansion slowly began to feel different too. Sophia no longer hid in the kitchen at night. Instead, she sometimes helped Daniel with homework at the large dining table while Ethan worked nearby. The quiet house slowly filled with small moments of laughter again. Months passed. Then one evening, Sophia graduated from her nursing program with top honors. Ethan sat in the audience beside Daniel as she walked across the stage to receive her certificate. Tears filled Sophia's eyes as she looked at them. Because she knew none of it would have been possible without the moment that changed everything. The night a millionaire found a maid hiding behind a refrigerator eating leftovers. And instead of punishing her, he chose compassion. Before we finish this story, here's a special request. Comment the word kindness below if you believe that a single act of compassion can change someone's entire life. Years later, Sophia became a respected nurse at one of the city's best hospitals. Daniel grew into a confident young student with dreams of becoming an engineer. And Ethan Carter, the man who once lived in a silent mansion, discovered that true wealth had nothing to do with money. It came from something far more powerful: human kindness. If this story touched your heart, please take a moment to like the video, share it with someone who believes in kindness, and subscribe to the channel so we can continue spreading stories that remind the world that compassion still exists. Because sometimes, the smallest moment of empathy can rewrite someone's entire future. Heart.